Hey, how's it going? So I had an interesting day today, and I was surprised, and I shouldn't have been, because I had a couple of previews to this kind of thing being out there, and actually, before that even, I had years worth of previews, so I don't know why I went all blank brain, but I know, not in my last video, but I think the one before it, I was having such a hard time stringing together a thought. I didn't realize that I was that way until the camera was on, which was unfortunate. But the next day after that, I discovered, from watching my Galactic Federation of Light videos, that there was I neglected to remember the name of the phenomenon, but there was a number of things that happened around the planet, and like there was some astrology involved there, which is tied to astronomy, and like that is one part of it, but then like the planets and space itself is doing stuff like emitting things, and oh yeah, and then the 3-eye interstellar stone corn dog is coming too. And that is also, let's just say, sending out good vibes, which is all good. In fact, the other, the other stuff I was talking about, the astrology, I can't say that that's a general positive for everyone, because that's kind of specific to the individual. But there's a lot of individuals that share traits, like birthday, and well, yeah, birthday covers a lot of that stuff. So yeah, if you have a lot of people born on the same birthday, maybe even different years, they have certain things that make them connected, I guess you could say. Like in an anniversary kind of way. Boy, I don't want to get too deep into that, but I think just to finish up, I want to say that each person comes from someplace else and has a different experience as far as upbringing and location of upbringing, and the year of it, like what decade were they in, or century even. So there are just a lot of things that played into it. There were more, I just can't recall them all, but I'm not having as much trouble as I was having that day, because as I was saying, the next day I saw a video and it talked about why that was a widespread phenomenon, and some of those forces that I talked about, like I didn't even mention the ET races themselves, like the whole race of some of them people, or I guess not the whole entirety of the race, but a bunch of them are like working on helping this planet and its inhabitants evolve and upgrade and do all of these things that I think we may have been lagging. I know that we've had to do it. We've had to have, this is the 5th time after, like we've had to do it over 5 times, and the things that brought a halt to what was happening and prevented things from continuing to the optimal endpoint, like having everybody awaken and ascend, Um, it's just, we've just had, like, we just kept blowing it. Like, we got to a point where we were, like, it literally, like, blowing ourselves up with nuclear, with nukes, basically. And, so we don't want to do that again. There's a lot of reasons why it's bad to even set off any nukes. And I'm talking about beyond the stuff that we know about that it does here, that it's not good. It's not good to be near. It's like, oh my God, just Google or search by your favorite search engine, Chernobyl, like, from the time it happened up to the present, and just, there's so much. It's interesting, and it's kind of bizarre, and, you know, there's people that are there that just didn't leave because it was their home, and they were just like, I'm still here, so why should I leave? And, you know, there's animals that survived, and there were the people, like, I saw a documentary, a few of them actually, that were just for various reasons there. They weren't necessarily documentaries on Chernobyl on purpose. It just came across the view screen. So, you know, there's animals there, the livestock and pets and wild and all of it, except that it's still pretty radioactive, and a lot of people have cancer. I don't think the lifespan, well, I don't know, like, one of them, the people were, like, very old, you know, elderly people, and they were living a pretty rustic life. Like, they were out there chopping wood and, you know, doing the garden and all of this kind of complicated, sort of heavy labor, like, you know, very, like, old technology, you know, not much or any automation at all. So, but, you know, they had to live there for a very long time, and so everything was set up to do what they had to do. But, I mean, my God, they were doing, like, you know, summer doesn't last very long in Russia, and so they have to pickle and can a lot of stuff. And so, yeah, they have, like I said, they have a very short summer. And it's just a lot of work, like, all the time, except maybe winter, when they're just kind of, like, you can't, you know, almost the whole house gets covered with snow, so you kind of have to spend a lot of time indoors, and, you know, they've been there forever, so that's not a thing for them. Why am I talking about all of that? I got totally sidetracked. Well, let's see if I can find my way back. Oh my God, what was I talking about before? Dang, Chernobyl, I should say. Sorry about that. Oh, by the way, amazing people, though, that are still there. And, oh, a lot of them have cancer and the lifespan is short. I did say that. Just to convey the idea, like, maybe it's not the best idea to live someplace where it's totally radioactive. Oh, well, so the strange day I had. Oh, right. Okay, now I remember. I reeled it back. So, the video that I saw kind of explained that basically it was a time engineered for everyone to hold back. Like, that day I remember online writing, it's quiet, it's too quiet, like a movie trope. But it was very quiet, like, online. Even, like, YouTube and all of the stuff on there. Like, I have a bunch of, I guess, alternative news channels, and then some of it's news, you know, network news from television, and it's from all countries. Like, all of it, except for the war places, were very quiet. The war places were, especially Ukraine, was popping. I wish that was over. I wish they were all over. And I know the people that live there and the surviving people of those countries do, and yeah, let's get to that point. I'm sure they're ready. I'm ready. Anyway, the reason for the sort of forced stoppage and slowdown was there's a lot happening. There's a lot of stress and pressure on a lot of people. There's fear, there's anxiety, and when things keep happening, it's like, God, you don't even get a second to, like, assimilate anything. Like, you barely have a chance for anything to sink in or to just, hear it. And I don't know about you, but when it's like that, I definitely want a space and place where I'm thinking of none of that stuff. Like, I want calm. I want, none of that. I want to be in my imagination, basically. But the reason for it was because all of that stuff is happening that I just mentioned. We needed time to be able to let it sink in and sort of arrange itself, because there is more coming. There is always going to be more for a while. Man, my ears are itching on the inside. Well, this one is just still going to do it. Anyway, so I guess that's it. I just was remembering, like I remember how that day, how hard it was to try and complete a sentence. So what I saw leading up to, or I guess it was leading up to it as far as I think it was happening so that I would notice it. But it's not that I wouldn't have noticed it. And it is like racism and hate speech, basically. And I might have talked about this before, but I was on Substack, and all of a sudden, I think I talked about it in my last video. And there was some person, and the very first thing I saw when I scrolled onto their page, just in the feed, was stabby nigger alert, and then I had to look further and make sure it wasn't some kind of joke. I don't know why I was looking for it to be a joke. It's not like it hasn't always been here. There has always been people that are that way, but I just didn't usually see them. I don't usually run across them. And so they're coming out of the woodwork. That wasn't the only one I saw. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep digging my ears, but my ear is ringing and it's really itching. Sorry. It's messing with my throat too. It's all connected in there, The ear bone connected to the throat bone. Sorry. Anyway, but it was shocking, kind of. I'm old, so it's not new to me, but I guess just having it all of a sudden show up right in front of my face is very unusual. So that's kind of stuck with me. Like, the shock value is, if you have a value for that type of shock, you're getting your money's worth. And so then today, or actually, okay, so here's what happened. I'm on Blue Sky, and the day before yesterday it was now, somebody had put up a painting. I might have talked about this a little bit last video, or a lot. And forget about the painting. It doesn't matter. Like, I saw something other than what actually the picture shows. Like, I just got it wrong. But the thing I'm talking about right now is okay, I got it wrong. Big deal, you know? But I reacted to it in a certain way that caused someone to, you know, when they replied to what I had written, which was, I thought, well, it doesn't matter what I wrote, but when I replied to it, then after I said it, then they were able to reply to me and ask me if I was having, well, first they called me an idiot, like in the first couple of words they said, and I was like, what the hell, man? Well, what is wrong with you? Why are you coming at me like that? That's just just uncalled for. But it was, look, it's still making me laugh because it was so absurd. Like, like, who? I asked them, I was going to say, who hurt you? But I asked them, are you having a really shitty day or what? What is your problem? And then they just had to chew me up more. And now I've had plenty of time to think about it. But even on that day, I was like, okay, so I got it wrong. Why are you making such a big deal of it? You're not like the heir of the painter. You certainly didn't paint the painting. It's old. You're clearly not. But I've been wondering that, and I've been like, why they had to be so nasty, but it's not the only instance of that I've seen. It's kind of everywhere. Like, if you watch news or any of the outlets that I was talking about, like I lean lefty, so I'm going to be talking about lefty places, but like the Majority Report or the Damage Report, I watch all of their reports. And other, there's another channel on the TYT network that I watch, like, depending on who's the host, Rebel HQ. And, I don't know, like, my lineup has been changing, so it's pretty sparse. And other than that, it's like entertainment stuff, so, I don't know if I'm the one having the transition or the media. Well, I guess both of us at this point. But I've seen at, like, rallies. In fact, even a couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember this, but there was some kind of rally, again with the rallies, but actually I don't know that it was a rally. I think there was some type of event happening on, like, native land or something, or it was about native land, something to do with indigenous people here, and there was a big crowd of, like, all of these young white guys, mainly guys, and then there was this older native dude, and he was just in the crowd, and there were pictures, still photos and video, which I saw both, of this guy, this man, and this kid, like, this far from each other's faces, and their expressions did not look friendly. And somehow, I just don't believe this was right. Like, everything about it feels the opposite of right and correct. But they had some sort of vocal altercation, and maybe it escalated to something physical. I don't know. I didn't follow the case that closely because I think it did go to trial. And actually, it did go to trial. I know because the white kid won, and I just feel like he went up to that native guy and said something completely rude. And so he and this, gaggle of young men he was with were chanting or singing something, and that was like when he got into the old guy's face, and there was some kind of explanation that made it sound like everything was cool despite what it looked like, which is why I'm like, something's wrong with that, and I don't think it was what I was seeing when I was looking at that interaction. Like, something was funky about it. But the boy won, the young man won the settlement or whatever, and it like I said, it just has never sat right with me. Like, something is wrong with that whole situation. And but I just noticed, like, whenever they talked to this kid, he was such a smug little POS and just so disrespectful. I think it felt like he really felt like that older man was supposed to genuflect to this kid or something. And again, no, no fucking way. So, what happened today is I had said something about that picture, and then that person came back, and it was funny because I was like, well, you know, I'm just gonna give right back what I'm getting, and then, like I said, I started having a good time, and then I was like, oh my god, I don't like that I'm having such a good time, I better stop. And then here's the thing, because there was a couple of other conversations there on Blue Sky, because people kept coming along and having some dumbass rude thing to say, because I said that I could smell the scent of fallen apples, which is what it looks like to me, even though I now know that's not what it is. I'm not, like, still stuck to the idea that I never, well, I was a little bit, but stuck to the idea that it was apples. It's not apples. Can we move on? Because there's been a lot of people in between when I said it, like 2 days ago now, and all the other smug bastards that thought they had to come along and rudely correct me. I don't mind being corrected, but you just don't have to be a jerk about it. And that's, like, there was, like, an escalating couple of jerks. It just kept getting jerkier. It had gotten to the point where it wasn't fun, and I was mad, and I just wanted to, like, crush people, and that's what I wanted to stay away from. So I finally just put an end to it and blocked all of those people, because I didn't want to be provoked anymore. I never wanted to be provoked in the first place. Like I told someone that I was talking to later there were a few people who were much nicer about the whole thing. In fact, they were just kind of like talking more about the interactions with those people. And one lady and I were talking about how, like, it did feel a little therapeutic to do it, because what I discovered, having this sort of, what do you call those contests where the people do the jokes, but they're kind of mean to each other? The dozens. It was kind of like that, except we were just cursing each other out. I just was like, well, what is this? And why are they attacking me? Like, what do I have, a sign or something? Remember, this is all happening like phone to phone. I'm sure everybody was on their phone. I was, or their laptop. People could still have laptops. I have one. I just messed it up. Not the point. But the point was, later, or earlier now, much later, what am I saying? This is not the same day that it happened. It was yesterday that this was all happening, but later that day, after I blocked people and was like, moved on and had, like, started doing other stuff, and kind of my mind just wasn't even on it anymore, but I realized that I felt bad after, and I realized later that this is what all of the times in my life that I have had something happen that made me feel like crap for a minute. There's just been so many, and I've heard this many times in these spiritual videos that I watch, and it was that every crappy thing that you experienced, that happened to you and you lived through, or lived through well, was preparation for the current time, and for people that are going to be acting the way the people I was just describing acting. And so, like I said, also, it is not new. This behavior, like the racial predatory behavior, and same thing with the LGBTQ community. Like, you have all these rabid, you know, people that just want everything to be uniform and monochrome, and they just want to like tell people what to do, and have somebody that's lower than them that they can treat like a. I don't want to like go into these places where I'm not monetized, but I don't want to get in like jail either. But there is a currently more successful, mainly white class of people that are running things in this country and the world. Like, that's just the way it's been forever. However, it's changing. Demographics are changing, people's minds are changing, and so the result is I think the way these people are acting, like they have an inclination to be that way anyway, but it's extra right now. And then the other stuff that I was talking about that was just sort of strong enough coming from all of these sources outside of you, invisibly, that can sort of like erase your ability to think good for a day, so you don't like hurt each other and yourselves, because everyone is so whipped up and cranked up on this crazy energy that's been happening for like a few months now, and it's just going to keep going. So we get our increments, and a little bit by little bit, I'm getting more and more idiots that I have to deal with. But now I realize, oh wait, I am actually equipped to deal with this, because like I said, the being wrong, that ain't shit, man. I'm old, I've been wrong so much, and look at here, I survived. So especially when it's something trivial like this, it's just like, that's the thing too. It's just something trivial like this. There's no reason for everyone that I can see to have gone so batshit on me, basically. But again, now I realize, okay, so I can do this. I can take it. Like, I have been prepared. I've been hurt. I've been made angry. Like, piece of cake, right? And I guess that just was kind of a relief in a way. Also, like, the cursing, like that woman I was talking to, like I told her, I don't usually indulge in just full-on mouth fights with people. I get into disagreements, but I'm not just like name-calling straight up, and it was like everybody was throwing down trying to top the insults, which made it kind of funny. But also, one person was actually really serious. It was the first person. They came out talking all that shit right away. So I think, okay, it's fine now. I sort of am I feel better. I feel well positioned now that I know what my position is after all of that. I don't have to, I mean, I might get my feelings hurt, but I don't have to, because it doesn't have anything over me now that I realize what the dynamic of the situation really is, and it's this. All of that stuff coming in, good vibes, and changes happening in society, whatever, to make people so uncomfortable. They're transitioning. They are changing from their sourpuss selves to like kicking and screaming, literally screaming, cursing and screaming, like trying to claw themselves, you know, stay in position, like they want to stay where they are or revert backwards, and so they can't do that. Like, they can't really sort of secede from the rest of the group. It's a matter of time, but I don't want to wait. Like, I'm impatient. I'm like, come on, can we just speed up everything so everybody can have they can, like, work out the karmas and live the experiences that need to happen, and everybody get right and fixed or whatever, man. Can we just do this? No. That's not how it works. Everything in its time and in its place, and there are so many of the things, is just taking a while. But we're, it's like sped up, it feels like we're like getting in maybe the final stretch, maybe? So that, all of a sudden I felt better, because I really was like, I didn't know how to feel when that was happening, and then it also was coinciding with that with that period of time where I was thick, basically, like thick in the head. Not that kind of thick, obviously. I think I've crossed it beyond thick into another area. But I just felt better when I figured out, oh wait, I'm like equipped to deal with this. What are you doing? Like, you don't have to stand down or back down or anything. Wow, my vision is just swimming right now. Whoa. Okay, that is weird. I can't figure out what's happening. There's some sort of optical illusion when I move, but I mean, it seems like there's a pole in front of my eyes, and it's like obstructing my vision. But if there's any poles, they're all behind me. Weird. Oh no, man. Slippery timelines, parallel dimensions. So I pulled a card from the Mary Magdalene, the Declarations of Mary Magdalene deck. Depth. It has that, but it's a deck. And it's this one here. It's the number 45 card. And it reads, presence is present when one is surrendered in the now. Took me a while to penetrate that, because I was like, presence. Presence is present. And I kind of lost what I had for it, but here, now I remember. So presence, first of all, first thing that came to mind was presence of mind, when I was trying to figure out what the card was about. And I guess that's part of it, because I finally achieved that at the end of what I was just saying. And when I was realizing, like, this is what all of the sort of bad, lame experiences I've had to have been for. They were not just useless to make me feel like crap and all of the other stuff. I mean, some of it, yes, but not all of it. But mainly this here now. And so, kind of blew it for a couple of days. Although I have to forgive myself, because like I said to that woman that I was talking to about the cursing, because I don't really do it, I mean, I of course do it at home, but I'm not arguing with someone. I'm not having a debate. There's no ill will. Like, that just isn't a part of my existence, really. So, not what I was doing. But I was taking it a little personally before I realized, like, you don't have to do that because none of it should even bother you. And, like, really, it wasn't bothering me till, like, the third person that I was doing that with. It, bro did not know when to stop, you know, and I was like, we've been doing this volleying back and forth for, like, 40 minutes. I'm done. And the thing was, is we were, like, cursing each other out, but he's liking everything I'm sending him. I'm like, you're crazy. But that's when I thought, this dude ain't gonna want to stop, so I just had to block him to put an end to it. But I wasn't serious. He wasn't serious. But I did not have the presence of mind to remember my training for my mission. So, yeah, presence of mind I wasn't having. Didn't have that. And presence is present. I feel like that's like when you have it together and you're calm and nothing will faze you, and wherever you're going and whoever you're doing with is further bolstered by, like, the love that you share between each other, then you are like a strong, cohesive unit, and you are present for each other. And that's a big deal. We all need reliable people in our life, you know, and you definitely want somebody that's gonna ride or die with you. So, okay, the rest of it says, when one is surrendered in the now. Well, okay, I was thinking earlier, before I even pulled this card, I was thinking, how could I have done that better? Because I shouldn't have given in to, like, arguing with that person. But I want to reiterate that I wasn't angry. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that to me like that. Well, let me say something stupid to you. Like, that was basically my plan of action, which is no plan at all. I was fucking around pretty much. But I needed to do that, and I didn't even realize it, because once I got through, I felt better in a lot of ways. Like, I definitely felt like a pressure cooker whose valve lets some steam out so the lid don't blow off the pan, you know? And it was good, because I didn't know I needed that. It's long lasting. I'm still kind of giddy. I keep losing my train of thought, though. So, but when you surrender yourself to the now, to the present, especially when there's a situation going on around you, like what I just went through, and also what I just went through in my imagination. By the way, you have no idea the scenario I was dreaming up when I was figuring this out. I was just talking about it as if you knew. So you needed a little background there. What the hell I'm talking about. But what I did, though, even though I needed to do it and it was fun and it was an education for sure, what I should have done was turn the other cheek, is what I thought at first. Because I felt guilty. I felt like, even though I don't think I was in the wrong at all, in fact, I think I was the plaintiff in the matter, they came at me first. Like, I have to keep reminding myself of that. I don't know why. That's something I gotta work on. Like, I don't have to automatically take it for the team at all, especially when I don't know this team. They're not my team. I think what the card means about surrendering in the now is to not take the bait, and to also not turn the other cheek just to get slapped on it. So I think that is a metaphor. Like, clearly, it's not it's certainly not grown men having a slap fight, okay? I think it's a metaphor. and I think what it means is we need to surrender to the present, and that way we can't. Sorry, I didn't mean to blank out. We need to surrender to the present, and in that space of I want to say quiet capitulation, because you're talking about surrendering. So you're giving up the reactive response, and you're just kind of letting whatever happens happen without your, like, it could happen, everything, without any of our responses, pretty much. They're just not that important. And so when you surrender and your mind is clear in a stress situation, you can then, I can't do it all the time, but there have been times where I've just been like so clear-minded, and the voice of reason, where like everything around me was like, you know, a crazed end of the world party or something. Wow, my vision is doing some crazy stuff. Whew, I'm gonna have to stop. It's kind of making me woozy. But surrendering to the moment, quieting your mind so that that small, quiet voice of inspiration can be heard, because it does have things to say that we have not been able to hear because we always have our faces stuffed into these things. So, back to the 3 and 14 days of darkness. 14 days of darkness is what one of the Pleiadian emissaries was talking about. And as usual, it's not what I thought it was. It's not what anyone thought it was. What they were saying is the darkness is about going dark on your using your use of your phone, like putting it away, only using it for calls, like, you know, like maybe you have to hear from your kid or your husband or whatever, but the having it with you constantly and scrolling on it, and even worse, giving it to your young children. Well, it might be even harder for them to withdraw from using the dang things, because the way that we get so sucked into them, that's by design. Like the companies, the social media companies and the phone companies, everything is about making a profit for them. So they're going to do what they need to do, and they care a whole lot less about you than you would probably care about them. You know, these people making these sort of insurance adjuster decisions that are uninformed, harsh, wrong, and causing problems for people. So this is not like, or maybe it is, because I no longer remember what I was saying, but I was going to say this is not a health issue thing. And then I realized that the doctor's lab coat has gizmos and doodads that do all kinds of stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about, because none of that. See, I just drifted off, and I had to stop myself, because none of that's true to the best of my knowledge, unless it's happening in a, you know, very similar next dimension. That's often what it feels like, because I mean, I'm certainly sleepy, but not like that. Something must still be going on, because I do now feel either I am having a stroke. Please no, I don't want to have a stroke. Hold on one second. There we go. So in the silence of surrender and the release of all of this other stuff that has us agitated and fired up, the small still voice can be heard, and then we can get guidance that we need. And so that is what I think this means when this card is talking about when one is surrendered in the now. Okay, that's all I got for that. And now that I can look at where I'm going with a little bit more clarity, which was supposed to happen after the full moon and the half moon and the eclipses and all these past sky things that were happening, have had an effect. Like there's more than one comet going by than Three-Eye Atlas. And each of those, since they make a circuit, they come back around at the time that something was happening, like things are happening now. And so similar things might well have been happening the last time it came around too. And I just got, okay, so at least one of those times when these things have come around, Atlantis has like blown up, and also Lemuria, and then I guess there was more than one Atlantis, and since none of them are around today, some of the education and teachings that were in those places, because they were like educational hubs, and they would have been like an Alexandria library type thing, different time schedule, different points in time, but still similar situations where vast amounts of knowledge were collected and recorded and stored together. So we're rediscovering a lot of that these days, and finding a lot of stuff that sort of fits that narrative I was just talking about. Like you'll have your heroic discoverer or explorer, archaeologist, so you got travel, you have to like hike and do terrain stuff, and maybe some of what you want to look at is like underwater in a grotto, because this stuff gets built upon over the ages. Anyway, it should be an exciting next going forward. I have to say I'm actually kind of excited to know what's next. I will keep you posted. Ooh, I almost whipped out my arm and knocked my teeth flying. Thank you and good night.